Good evening. I call to order this meeting of the Verona Township Council for Monday, the 7th of October, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance statements?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been decided prior with respect to this meeting of the council. The meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice of the meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent the official newspapers of the township to the One Star Ledger at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at Verona. Comment period will be held in the orders listed on the meeting agenda and instructions on how the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland. Here. Councilwoman McGrath. Here. Councilman Roman. Mayor McAvoy.
Here.
Mayor Tamboro. The manager, Kevin O'Sullivan, myself, municipal clerk, Jennifer Kiernan.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Indivisible, liberty, justice for all. The mayor's report today. I had the opportunity this Saturday to attend the Sustainable Verona Electric Vehicle Fair, which was quite an event. There were about 20 vehicles there from various different dealerships and individuals. I thank my council colleagues, Deputy Mayor McAvoy and Councilman Roman, for including their vehicles in. They were both talking during the event. We had people from all around coming in, and the dealers were very supportive as well. I want to thank the Verona Environmental Commission and the members of Sustainable for manning the table there, as well as the Shade Tree Commission in order to reach out. There's some food vendors there as well, and electric bike area to test ride those, which was very popular. So it was really, really a great event. So thank you for putting that on, and I hope that that'll continue. We just, before the meeting, held the opening and dedication of our accessible, inclusive playground next to Veterans Field on the drive in the community center complex. It was great to see representatives from Senator Corrado and Senator Barlos were present, as well as representatives from the County Community Development Program, who helped to finance the installation of the bathroom, which was significant as well. And children, our former director of recreation, Jim Cunningham, was able to join us, which was a very nice surprise. And various other folks from our committees, our rec committee and our MIAC. So it's great to see, and I hope to enjoy it, and that everybody enjoys it. I hope to enjoy myself. There's adult exercise equipment there. But it was already getting a lot of attention, even while we were there. So that'll be good. And it's really a great addition to the township, and look forward to continuing that. Really thanks to our township administration for getting the job done once again, and to our public works for getting the job done once again, and to our township engineer for getting the job done once again. It is an extraordinary team effort, and we have done so much in just the time that I've been on the council that it really is owed to a fantastic staff. We are going to be doing some recognitions tonight. We have a couple more coming up. We're going to be doing recognition for our Girl Scout Silver Award earners, as well as our softball team for their championship season as well. So look forward to those. We'll be doing softball in the upcoming meeting. And Silver Award, we're arranging a date and time for that, to do it near one of the installations. If you haven't seen them, you can go near where our shelters for people catching the bus are, and there's some neat things already there. So I encourage you to check those out as well. We've noticed them just walking the dog and so on. Right, for recognitions this evening. Oh, sorry, I have one more item. I received correspondence from the Fairfield Police Department thanking the Verona Police Department for providing coverage after they had an untimely death of one of their officers, and it was really a lovely letter showing that cooperation. For people who don't know, the West Essex Police Department's become like one department at night, helping each other. They have an interoperable radio channel hosted by Verona and various other things to keep the security of this area up at night. And it's just great to see that collaboration. And always, of course, thanks to the leadership of our police chief and administration there. So first off, we would like to recognize DCH Montclair Acura for donating the amazing refurbished sign that is in the triangle at the intersection of Bloomfield and Pompton Avenues. It is a big Verona maroon sign. It's really a beautiful item. So we do have some background on that. The restoration process is done with great care in order to protect and maintain the beauty of the original sign that was made by a beloved Verona resident and local businessman, Matthew Beneducci McGrath. Mr. Beneducci McGrath was killed in a horrible pedestrian accident not far from where this sign is. His work is visible all throughout Essex County. He was really an artist and a master sign maker and just a great guy. So it's great that we could preserve that. These signs are part of a legacy that Mr. McGrath left behind. The signs can be seen throughout Essex County, including the Environmental Center, Brookdale Park. He once said, "The sign is the voice, the mission, the space." The sign restoration project is part of a larger initiative aimed to revitalize Verona's visual identity and enhance our public spaces. The Verona Pool recently received a sign sponsored by Lakeside Deli. New signs are bright and inviting and will be strategically placed not only to serve as wayfinding tools, but also symbols of extreme community pride and collaboration. So just like Montclair Acura did, setting the example for everybody in town, there are several opportunities for residents and business to get involved and support the sign project. There are, how many, 2 left, Mr. Diarco? So 2 left. So if you're interested, contact Mr. Diarco. He loves taking money from people on our behalf. So can't thank DCH enough. They are a great business to have in town. I did, of course, ask them to change their name to DCH Verona Acura. Mr. Raposo agreed right before the meeting, so we're in good shape there. But we do have a certificate that we'd like to present, thanking DCH for their contribution. So here to accept that recognition is Mr. Kareem Raposo. So Kareem, come on up. We're gonna come out in the front here.
It costs so much. People are like, wonderful makers.
I think grab one sign. Thank you very much. If you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to.
Just an honor to support the town. Love being part of the community. And if you guys ever need anything, Joe knows how to reach me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The deputy mayor just pointed out to me that Mr. Beneducci McGrath just also did the sign that is right behind us as well. It's a little piece of history. In addition, it's always exciting this time of year to recognize the Verona Junior Women's Club for their work with Verona Fights Hunger Week. This has been going on for many years and was actually put into effect by our very own Councilwoman McGrath. So it's wonderful to see this project still going. It really does engage the entire community. Food insecurity is significant in this area. Despite being a relatively affluent place, there are always people in need, especially with rising prices and things like that. It's significant. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. When I was in high school as a deacon in my church, I helped to run our community food pantry. And I understood at a young age what the impact of that was. So anybody that is helping on there is significant. And I'm going to read a proclamation, and we'll invite Manya to come up, and you're welcome to address the council at that point. The proclamation reads, whereas the Junior Women's Club of Verona Incorporated is a versatile organization that has been involved in social and charitable work in the community since its inception in 1926. And whereas the Verona Junior Women's Club continues to be a group of dedicated young women who attempt to reach all people in the community by doing their best to bring to life the Junior Women's Club motto of joy and service, pride and achievement. And whereas the number of suburban residents living in or at risk of poverty and hunger has risen dramatically in recent years, and whereas a 2020 study of financial hardship issued by the United Way found that of New Jersey's 3.3 million plus households, 10% live below the federal poverty line, and 37% earn less than the basic cost of living for our state. Whereas the same report shows that in Verona, 21% of the population earns less than the basic cost of living for our state, and 4.5% of our residents live below the federal poverty line. Whereas last year, over 25 businesses, civic groups, charities, religious organizations, and each school in the township participated in the food drive. And whereas the success of the project collectively accrued over 8,000 bags of non-perishable food items and nearly $17,000 in monetary donations for local food pantries on an annual basis. And whereas on October 19th, 2024, the juniors will arrange for Cassell and Sons Moving Service to bring all the collected food to the Human Needs Pantry, and the Township of Verona will be offering their assistance to this worthwhile cause. And therefore, I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, hereby recognize the Junior Women's Club of Verona, and especially the Verona Fights Hunger Committee. The Township thanks them for organizing this townwide food drive and appreciates the time and dedication the members give to Verona and its residents. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the official seal of the Township of Verona, New Jersey, to be affixed this 7th day of October in the year 2024. Manya, why don't you speak first, and then we'll do the proclamation.
Have to earn it, eh?
Yes. You got to give us the details.
Well, thank you very much to the council for recognizing this very important week. I wish that what I loved most about the proclamation is you called us a group of young women. I know. But the sobering reality is that the 2020 stats that you read off those numbers are much higher now. Unfortunately, we have much higher level of poverty in our community, even Verona, even though it's quite invisible, the food insecurity here, but it's here. And so I am once again so overwhelmed and grateful by the support of all the local businesses who have stepped up and sponsored Verona Fights Hunger Week this year. Prout Funeral Home and King's Supermarket once again has joined us, but we also have new sponsors. All these supermarkets has been quite generous this year, which is a wonderful new addition. And then we have other, as I said, we have King's, we have other returning sponsors. Dakota and Jeep has been extremely generous once again. They will be helping us haul some groceries from one of our shop and drops this weekend. Kareem, it's not too late to become a sponsor. Just like your competition across the street. But also local restaurants have stepped up this year to put together 3 dine and donate nights, which I think will be a lot of fun for the community to go out and support. They're going to be donating a percentage of their proceeds to Verona Fights Hunger. That's Verona Inn, Verona American Grill, and Parkside Social. So we're very grateful to that addition as well. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank the town council for supporting this effort. It gives me, although it is a sobering reality, it gives me incredible joy to do this for the community and to plug in and engage in this way. And I also want to recognize my children, Rose and Max Pashman. Rose and Max. They were really hustling at the supermarkets this weekend for our first set of shop and drops. And then I also want to recognize the juniors board members that are here, Yvonne Nolan and Heather Asip as well, and Yvonne's daughter, Lucy. So thank you for coming out to support this.
Well, we have everybody come on up. You are.
You can start it. Oh my gosh. Barbie. That's amazing.
Yeah, right? We're gonna miss an opportunity. Sure.
Kanye, get go. It's all.
I want this to be your face here.
Oh, she won't let it be, don't worry.
I have an idea.
Oh, good.
You need an engineer. No,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping out, guys.
Thank you.
Last thing.
Thank you.
Okay.
I can't wait. Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yes.
Okay, go.
Making connections.
Thank you.
We are waiting for our Barnstormers team to finish football practice. Apparently, this is quite an athletic group. So we will alter the order of business when they get and we'll move into Mr. Diarco. Mr. Diarco, Township Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Missed it over the weekend. I've been looking at my mail for the weekend, welcoming in my new grandson. I was in New York for 2 days. And so that is being scheduled for you, so we can have. I'm meeting again, we're having another meeting. Have a meeting coming up with Caldwell University relative to additional pickleball space there and the use of their gyms. As our recreation programs are expanding and investing at the seams, that may prove to be very helpful for us. The township attorney is working on the town seal issue. Department budgets have been sent to all the department heads. We'll be working on all of their budgets over the next couple of weeks, getting them prepared for presentations to the mayor and council. And we are in negotiations with OPIU. Those meetings are every Friday. It's going very well. I have addressed the mayor's question, which I could discuss in closed session, but I don't think we have to have a closed session tonight. Perhaps that's all I have, unless the council has any of the items on the 24 items on my list, and we can roll into deputy manager's report of living projects.
Any questions for our Township Manager? Hearing none.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll go through my list as quickly as I can, hopefully before the Barnstormers get here. But we have the full rate study and strategic plan. We are expecting to have that draft version of that circulated later this week and lining up for a discussion at the October 21st Town Council meeting. With our wastewater projects, our smoke testing is complete. We are working with Boswell to put together a summary of findings and prioritized recommendations. We have provided the updated plans and the construction management contract for the iBank for our primary clarifier pumping station project. We are hopeful to have that project out to bid in the coming weeks. We have also kicked off design for the UV disinfection system and the microscreens at the wastewater plant. Again, those 3 projects will provide a great deal of benefit to the wastewater treatment plant. We are also advancing an emergency cleaning project on the sanitary sewer trunk line, which runs parallel to Beckman behind all the way from Bloomfield Avenue all the way to the wastewater treatment plant. That project is currently underway. There were some findings during the smoke testing which indicated that there were likely a number of root intrusions. So we are currently in the process of jetting, removing roots, and re-televising that sewer line for the entire trunk line. With the wastewater projects, we are continuing to move forward with the Lynn Drive well. That well should be back online by the end of the year. Fairview Avenue well is still pending the iBank's approval to go out to bid. Claridge Drive Pump Station, we have final design plans ready to resubmit to the iBank. Similar to what we did for the primary clarifier pumping station for the wastewater plant, the iBank will need an executed construction management contract, so you will see that on the agenda for tonight. For stormwater, there is under new business tonight, there is an amendment to the recently adopted stormwater ordinance that was adopted earlier this year. It is, we can discuss that in new business. Parking meters are up and running in the municipal lots. We continue to work with our consultant for the local government energy audit. We have received draft reports for all the facilities except for the wastewater plant. We are expecting those reports this month, so we will be able to schedule a presentation from that audit team at an upcoming meeting. We are also working with the consultant on the solar projects. They are taking into account the comments that were received during their feasibility study discussion. They're shifting their new presentation to a proof of concept plan, which will answer all the questions previously discussed. A number of road projects are completed, and you'll be seeing closeout resolutions at upcoming meetings. The next project that will become more vocal, more center point of discussion will be the Linden Avenue project. We have a temporary demonstration scheduled for the week of October 14th. There will be 3 different methods of traffic control that will be temporarily installed on Linden Avenue to try to control some of the traffic and speeding concerns on that section of road. There will be a full walkthrough audit of those facilities once they're installed. We'll also be seeking input from the community on the effectiveness of those. Final design will incorporate the elements that were successful, and obviously we will rule out the temporary demonstration elements that were may not have been successful. So that'll be coming up the week of October 14th, with the walkthrough audit scheduled for October 24th. So we will incorporate all those into design through this winter and incorporate them for the construction next year. Everett Field project is in design. We've kicked off design. The pickleball courts and the pool have bids out. We will be receiving bids October 16th. Hopefully we will be in position to recommend award contracts at the next mayor and council meeting. And similarly, we have the phase 1 of the town hall repointing and window replacement also out to bid. We will be receiving those bids next week as well. And similarly, we hope to be in position to award a contract at the next mayor and council meeting. We also have some updates just from the affordable housing perspective. We still currently await the round 4 figures to be published by DCA. We expect them no later than the October 20th deadline. In anticipation of the upcoming announcement, there is a resolution on tonight's agenda for Affordable Housing Council to prepare the 4th round affordable housing element and fair share plan. That will be there's still some determination on how the DCA and fair share housing will implement and roll out the actual requirements of the 4th round. So that will require a good amount of discussion back and forth between mayor and council and planning board, and the contract on the resolution tonight will assume and incorporate those efforts to effectuate the next steps for the township. Additionally, Conifer opened applications for the Verona Flats on October 1st. They received 1,059 applications over the first 2 days, and they will continue to accept applications at their temporary leasing office in the coming weeks. They will also simultaneously begin processing the applications in the order that they have received them. And that completes my report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions for the deputy manager? Councilman.
I just wanted to ask about the sewer trunk lines. I thought it was like a normal thing for us to do an annual clean out on those lines and root removal. Just was kind of curious, was there anything different this year that was emergency work or as opposed to just annual maintenance?
The smoke testing certainly identified a number of items within our collection system that need attention. The Derwent Avenue trunk line identified some items that may be contributing to more immediate emergent needs. So that was the reason for in implementing that project on an emergency basis.
Okay.
I had a similar question. Do we anticipate that the cleaning of those lines will solve the issues that we're dealing with right now with those neighbors?
So the cleaning and the removal of the roots will solve the issue. The televising will identify the locations that roots are actually infiltrating the sewer line. So there will likely be part 2 of that project, which will be potentially point repairs or slip lining certain sections to eliminate the roots from regrowing into those sewer lines 12 or 24 months from now.
Okay, and as far as the applications for the Verona flats, they, just so people know, because Carl actually came up to the EV fair this weekend and asked about it because they were there for an application. So I did point them towards the article in My Verona that gave, just so people know for the publics, that you can continue to put in applications, but you have to call and set an appointment to do so.
Correct, and they do
have
have
office space.
they do have a temporary leasing office, I believe.
Yeah, 5 months.
Yes. So yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Just add that I've reiterated this to several people who've reached out. The township has no involvement in the assigning of units. This is a private developer manages these units. We have no involvement in this aside from renting them our space for that purpose. So I just want to put that out there. I know there's people on social media thinking that we have something. We really don't. We have no oversight on who gets what apartment.
That's correct.
So just throw that out there. First come, first serve. Any other questions for Mr. O'Sullivan? Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan.
Thank you.
All right, I believe Mr. Scara and Furniture up next.
Yeah. Good evening. I have Dave Gannon here from PKF O'Connor Davies. If you have questions on the you should have gotten a hard copy about 2 weeks ago, an electronic version about 2 weeks ago as well. Did you want to go over specifics in it? I mean, it's a very large document, but
If you want to give just maybe a brief summary of the positive and a brief summary of what we need to work on, that would be great.
okay, you did it. In current fund, our revenue increased by 1.5 million from 2022, which was great. Our expenditures, though, increased by 1.9 million, which is why you see that the increase in revenue was about almost $400,000 less than it was in the previous year. But fund balance is still higher than where we were at last year by 900,000. And our ending balance is up about 500,000 for current fund. In water sewer, we had excess revenue of $864,000 this year. So much better than it was in the previous year. Previous year was 239,000. We also decreased the surplus that we used in the budget this year from 800,000 to 529,400, which made our ending balance about $345,000 more than it was in the previous year. In pool, our revenue from 2022 decreased slightly. Running out of time. Okay. Our expenditures increased slightly. Our surplus that we used decreased. So overall, we're up about $35,000 in our ending balance from 2022.
And do you want to review, or Mr. Gannon want to review findings and recommendations?
I go over the findings.
Sure. So in our report, just if you can, let
I'll
Mr.
switch
Gannon
over.
get in, because
Here's
people
the
at home
findings.
can't hear that mic there.
So there's two items that require corrective action by the township. One relates to utilizing excess cash resources to pay down monetization notes. This has, been a recurring instance the last couple of years. I thought it had, self-correct at some point. So we included a formal finding this year. A lot of times what happens is, for instance, you may receive grants, but you're also authorized within that ordinance to sell debt. The grant award, the grant receipts are somewhat inconsistent as to when they actually are received. You need to utilize those debt proceeds to then, advance the project. Cash fund comes in for grants, but you still have all this debt outstanding, and it's a timing issue. Bond station does get renewed about 1 year at a time. So the township just needs to work with financial advisor, bond counsel, to right size those debt offerings. Make sure they're utilizing excess cash, pay down that debt. So obviously you're not paying interest expense on. Second item relates just general ledger maintenance and accounting for interfunds. And just the financial offices needs to do a little more effort, a little more diligence, and just making sure the general ledger is more accurate when presented for it.
Thank you. I think it's amazing. I love getting, several 100-page long reports. And I read all of them, which is, even more
Impressive.
and I have to say that with the tens of millions of dollars that are going through this town, to have two findings, two recommendations is really evidence of great on behalf of our finance team. And I appreciate Simon Beatty's really delving in and finding those things and making recommendations as well. It can only improve what we're doing and how we are the custodian of this money for the taxpayer. So I appreciate both of your work. And honestly, for anybody in the public, if you're looking to really get insight into our operations, this document, the audit report, is something that you might want to request. Throw up. Better. Do we post this?
It's on the website.
On the website. It's on the website.
Yep.
I haven't looked because I got a nice bound copy, but look through the audit report. It should be basic reading for anybody who's interested. We're all good. Any of my colleagues have any questions, comments for Mr. Gannon, Mr. Speaker? Mayor?
I will certainly echo what you have said, Mayor. I know a lot of work goes into this, and it does seem like a very big document, and you're like, another couple hundred pages to read. But as you go through it, you slow down and you start reading. It's very interesting. There are some areas in there that I would like to reach out and sit and talk about.
Sure.
A couple of items. But thank you for all your hard work and putting this together and keeping us on the street.
Some more comments. Just thank you for all the effort that went into producing this audit report. One of the things I find about it is it's very readable, and you can actually, as you start to understand the language of it, and it's got great references internally. It actually is an excellent roadmap as to the financial condition of the township. I refer to it as a coffee table book because that is quite literally where it stays for a while with me. It's just, again, big nerd. But thank you very much for all the effort that goes into reviewing all of our accounts. And thank you to the finance office and to everyone else in the township who manages money. This is one of the most important responsibilities we have here, is the respectful and appropriate use of taxpayer and ratepayer money. And the thing about this is there's so many things that everybody has to get right throughout the course of the year to come to an audit that is this clean. So I appreciate all the diligence of everyone in the township in terms of being good custodian of all these funds. Thank you.
Other comments? Thank you, Mr. Gannon. Go home. Mr. Stara, go home. Well, we have to make a couple resolutions. You're allowed to.
Resolutions.
All right, so before
Do
you're.
you want me to hang out up here first?
What's that?
Do you want me to hang here first or?
Yeah, I mean, we can introduce, I'll hear a motion to introduce, we have to do these one at a time, correct? To introduce E3A, which is the certification of the 2023 audit. Wait, heard motion. Motion is made by Council Roman. Is there a second? Second. Second is made by the Deputy Mayor. At this time, we want any items related to the audits. So both motions will do 3A and 3B for public comment. Madam Clerk, could you please the public comment statement, please?
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. Dialing in by phone, press star 9. If you're attending in person, please approach the lectern. Once recognized, please state only your name and township of residence for the record. You are not required to provide your street address. However, if you do, please note that these meetings will be posted on the township's YouTube channel and addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council, and there can be no cross dialogue during this time. After everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the council may address your comments and requests.
Name the room. Right, this is public comment. Any council discussion on E3A? Hearing none. Call the vote, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman, Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tambora.
Yes.
Mayor ordinance E3A will be 176.
Thank you. This time I'll entertain motion on resolution E3B, which is the corrective action plan. Motion's made by Councilwoman Holland. Is there a second? Second. Second made by the Deputy Mayor. Any council discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tambora.
Yes.
Mayor E3B will be numbered 177.
Claim the group affidavit at the conclusion of the meeting. All right. Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Mascara.
Thank you.
Mr.
Have a good
Gagnon.
night. Thank you.
You all are the lucky ones. And after your hard work, let's bring on the barnstormers. I think Lieutenant Schaefer went down to get them, but you wanna. Thank you, Michael.
Joe,
Somehow my phone started playing music, which is super awkward. All the seats are open. Come on, gentlemen, sit in the front. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Looks like a dugout.
And this is certification beyond it. There's another bench.
favorite games.
Good job.
Well, welcome to the Verona Township Council meeting. You missed a riveting conversation on our municipal audit. Okay, it's not as exciting as a baseball game, we like to think, so we feel special. Really, it's a pleasure to welcome our 10U Summer USABL Northeast champions, from Verona. I have some stats to welcome you with. First is there were 93 runs scored this summer to only allowing 14 runs, which is a great ratio there. The team had a batting average of 342, which is, I believe, higher than Mickey Mantle's was at the height of his career. The team had an earned run average of 1.375, which is fantastic as well. And out of 245 chances, there are only 8 errors, leading to a 96 .967, 96.7% team fielding percentage. All those are great stats, especially the perfect 11-0 record on the season. And most importantly, this team beat Cedar Grove 7-4. Seriously, beyond your amazing accomplishments on the field, it's important to note that what you do on the baseball field and your accomplishments are not just about sports, but about greater values that we all appreciate, like teamwork and dedication to something that you are interested in, to sportsmanship and leadership. All those things are what matters. That's what develops us as people, and those are lessons you'll take. So I hope you find joy not only in your accomplishments, but the way that everybody's grown this season as well. And this is also evidence of a dedicated team of volunteer coaches. So, gentlemen, players, if you would clap for your coaches, please. So we have certificates of recognition for everybody. I am going to read just the top. I'll show it to everybody, and then we'll call folks up one by one down there. So read the recognition of your perfect record of 11-0, beating Cedar Grove 7-4 to become the 2024 10U Summer US ABL Northeast champions. And the certificate has everybody's name on it, our wonderful township seal. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for always making everything look just right. And at this point, we'll go down and call all of the names out. And everybody gets council members, you want to join us down there? Do the photo with everybody. Oh, we'll have to kind of fill it. Okay. There. Would you mind handing out, and we'll shake hands and read? All right. So for our players, number 17, Brady Allworth. Oh, he's not here. Okay. Number 10, Harrison Armenti. Harrison. Congratulations. Joe Harrison. There you go. You can just kind of wait up here. There you go. Number 42, Anthony Camacho Osorio.
Yeah.
Also not here. All right. Number 44, Ryan Daniele. All right, we got Ryan. Everybody is. Congratulations. All right. Number 13, Joseph Joey Davina Gracia. Hopefully I got it somewhat out there. All right. Number 27, Joseph JJ Esposito. Congratulations. Number 24, Reese Greco. Congratulations. Number 2, and my neighbor, Martin Marty O'Boyle. Number 14, Eric Schumacher. Number 4, Wyatt Schaefer. And number 29, Dominic Sheridan Gadia? Dominic? No? Okay. Number 1, last but not least, Aiden Watkins. And I'd also like to invite our coaches up to stay on with the team. Chris Daniele, come on up if you're here. No, Lenny Armenti. But we have certificates for you two guys as well.
We do.
Okay.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Nick Daniele. No, okay. Those boys weren't here, right? Joe Esposito. Marty O'Boyle. And last but not least, Bob Schaefer. All right. And now they tell us where to stand. This is like the thing. We're going to get behind you.
Stand, all right, gotta give you space. Yeah.
You want to behind stand on the side.
You guys can all take pictures if you want. I just gotta take this one.
Just tell us where we're looking. Okay, Mr. Kiernan first.
Ready? Age. Nice.
The middle.
You're welcome to stand wherever you want, even with full weight.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks. Hey.
No, my work.
Okay, it's rewarding.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So 10 runs over.
Congratulations. Great job.
Yeah, thanks.
Now you're the lucky one.
It's nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
These are, thank you. It's a wonder being
Congratulations, guys.
That was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See you later.
What's that? What's this? It's not trust. We're on to council member reports. Deputy Mayor, you're on.
Here, Mr. Mayor. Couple of repeats, but I'd like to thank you for recognizing the EV Fair. Saturday it went very well. They did have, as the mayor said, over 20 cars. The dealerships, local and some of them from outside the area that brought the cars, we are very thankful for them. It went very well. There was a pretty steady group that came through during the day. So I'd like to thank them. I'd also like to thank Verona, the public works workers that were there all day to help out and break everything down at the end of the day. So it was very successful, and we're looking to the game a little bit next year. So hopefully we'll have as lovely a day as we did Saturday next year when we do it. We did do the ribbon cutting tonight at the playground, so I thank everybody that was involved with that. There was a whole list of people. I'm not going to go through them. But especially, the Essex County group that showed up. We are very happy that they can help us out financially to put the help out with the bathrooms up there. I think it was a great addition to that area and definitely needed for not only the playground, but for also the field up there. We also had last week the community garden ribbon cutting. I'd like to thank Carol Thomas individually because she put so much time into that garden, but there were several others, Sustainable Jersey that gave money, and the Landsberger Foundation that financially helped out also. But along with all the other volunteers, a couple of people there were like asking names of people like, I see her working here all summer long. And so there are others that put a lot of time into that garden. And it's just from what it started at to what it is now, it's just really unbelievable. It's down behind HB at the end of Park, off of Bloomfield Avenue there, down behind Lakeside Deli. So I encourage people to take a walk down there and take a look at it. It's a great transition of an area that turned into a really beautiful spot. And then lastly, thank you to Church of the Holy Spirit. Every year they do the blessing of the pets here in the center of town. They did it yesterday. It's a wonderful event. It started off as an event for pet adoption, and they have a couple of groups that come in that rescue pets and try to get them adopted. So if you interested in adopting a pet, you can reach out to, I think Rosie's Rescue Ranch was there, but there were a couple of others. But it was a beautiful day for that also. And I thank the Church of the Holy Spirit for continuing. And that is all that I have. Steve.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilman Roman.
Thank you. Mine are also repeats, but I'll go through these quickly. Just also thank you for the EV Fair. One of the dealerships that was there specifically asked if we'd be holding this again. So just want to thank them for all their participation, as well as the electric bike vendor that was there. That was another very popular one. And then the other locals, being food vendors and other services. So congrats to everyone that was involved in putting that event together. And then also my thanks for the event tonight at the playground. The facility just looks absolutely beautiful. This is this project, the design and everything came together very well. It's a really nice addition to the community center. And once we got going with construction, it seemed like it will move forward pretty well. So our project management was on point on that. So just thank you to everyone within the township administration and township staff that worked to put this together and make this a reality. It's a great project. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. I too was able to attend the opening of the community garden. And to echo what the deputy mayor said, it's really one of these magical Verona places. The effort that people are putting into their plots, the coordination with the Board of Ed for learning opportunities, the multiple Verona community groups and sponsorships from the region that have gone into this community garden and making it what it is really just it's just a lovely thing. I wish I had the green thumb. I don't. So I'm jealous of everyone's vegetables I saw growing there. But again, thank you to Carol Thomas and all the volunteers, the board of the community garden, and everyone who stepped up to make it such a wonderful place. There was definitely talk of expansion and a second location if we can find one, because there's just a lot of enthusiasm for this type of project. Unfortunately, I was under the weather this weekend, so I missed this EV fair, which I'm very sad about. I also missed our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, which was the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee, organizing in partnership with the Verona Public Library. I'm sure it was a big success. Since our last meeting, the MIAC committee did meet, and they have set a date for the annual Diwali celebration, which will be on October 30th at 6 p.m. Shade Tree met this evening and spoke about a variety of projects. And finally, I too was at the ribbon cutting for the ADA, our first ADA accessible playground. Again, this has been a long time coming, and really marks just another achievement of accessibility in our community. We did great work at the Verona Community Pool over the years to make that accessible for both adults and children. This playground is now another important chapter in our march forward towards progress. And I look forward to having a second ADA accessible playground at Everett Field when it's renovated, and moving forward on other accessibility projects in our community. So thank you very much to all of our administration, to our advocates, and to all of our partners and sponsors, including Partners for Health, that helped us get to this next step. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Holland.
Can I add something real quick? Just for the public, that playground, we were told tonight, is not officially open yet, so we don't want people rushing up there. We have to get it signed off by inspectors, so just want to add that, sorry.
Thank you. Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. I share many of the sentiments that have been expressed by my colleagues on the council, so I'll limit my remarks to two topics. First, with regard to recreation, I do want to say that it brings tremendous pride to see the new playground realized after so many years of having the equipment in storage and watching the old playground deteriorate, ultimately needing to be removed because it was no longer safe, and finally seeing it brought back to life, and not just brought back to life in an inclusive way that really moves Verona forward. So I really want to compliment the administration. Thank you for driving this project through to completion. I know that you definitely got a lot of feedback from those of us on the council. It was definitely something that we were very motivated to do. I personally was very motivated to do. We discussed extensively in the rec committee meetings, and there was a lot of enthusiasm there. And we just really wanted to see this project get done. So it's really nice to see that we're starting to make that progress, and that we did make the progress with the Verona pool, but that we're also making progress here and looking forward to Everett Field as well. So it is a really positive story. So thank you so much for all of the work that you've done. Thank you to all of the sponsors that helped us get there. And I know that the kids are just desperate to get on there to play. So I really hope that we finish those punch list items sooner rather than later. Also, you know, to my second topic, I do just want to, on a more somber note, acknowledge the fact that we are still very much in hurricane season and acknowledge the devastating effects on the southeast of Hurricane Helene. And now we are anticipating another very powerful storm hitting Florida with Hurricane Milton. And while the storms are far away from us in New Jersey today, we do get these effects of these storms coming through, and we saw it in 2021 with Hurricane Ida, which by the time Ida got to New Jersey was just a tropical storm, but it brought such a substantial, you know, torrent of rain with it that it was very, very devastating to our state. So I do want to just encourage residents to prepare. If you are able to support those who are in desperate need at this time. And for those of us here in these seats on the council and for the administration to continue doing the difficult work to maintain our infrastructure and improve it to address the devastating impacts of climate change. So thank you. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Okay, this time I'll open the meeting for public comment on any item that any member of the public would like to speak about. The same public comment statement applies that was previously read, but this is on anything.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Nitty. I'm a longtime resident of Verona. I've spoken to this esteemed group before, as well as the planning board, and sent emails to several people. I represent a group of residents who are concerned about the impact of our taxes with affordable housing. We understand there is a need for it. We know there is going to be more, but it appears from the studies that were wastewater, traffic, a number of other things, but no one talked about the impact of taxes. There seems to be a discrepancy between what this board thinks and the Board of Education thinks in terms of the impact of our schools. So I am asking for, with the residents as well, on what this board thinks will be a high or a low estimate on our real estate taxes as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, let's not much. Close public comment. But Mr. Loy, I think you have started looking into this, correct?
Yes, Mayor. So I worked with the administration and the administration looked into it, and apparently there was no analysis done. I also spoke to the resident and indicated that such an analysis can take many different forms, from analyzing, I'll call it a positive impact, because all of the different that the township undertook actually took hundreds of units out of Verona, and therefore the impact, the overall impact on the schools was very minor. We could look at just the impact of this one development and how many kids. Well, I guess we'll know shortly, right? Because you're looking up, but that would just be a guess. So you could look at it as a negative way. But there's so many different ways to look at this from a financial impact based upon all the different actions the council took. That was a collective idea that the council came up with, but unfortunately there is no current study or no analysis done by the township. As you know, I'm an attorney, so I'm not, an accountant or whatever, but if the council wants to, I'm sure the administration will hire a professional to try to put some numbers together. I don't know if that's a worthwhile thing. If you wait to see the kids, that might answer some of the questions. I'm not sure what to tell you other than to say there was no analysis. I did describe, and the administration knows we reviewed it to try to figure out if there's anything we could put together. But because there's so many different ways you could do such an analysis, there was overwhelming opportunities to put something together on how you want to look at it. So,
any comments, Councilman Rowe?
I'll just follow up on what Mr. Aloya said. I like how you kind of put this in context of what some of the other possibilities we were facing were. And I think it's important to have that historical perspective that before we came up with this resolution for our affordable housing obligations, we had 500 units or so roughly on the table. They would have been a combination of market rate and affordable rate units. And you truly don't know how many of those would have brought children into the school system, but certainly there would have been children brought into the school system out of that level of development. When we looked at that level of development, we felt there was actually a risk of larger infrastructure improvements needed. One of the areas that was proposed for development, and in particular, we were concerned about water pressure, requirements for additional water tanks, upgrades to municipal infrastructure, et cetera. So our target during this entire process was to bring down the total overall development number in the town, to bring down the number of units that were going to be constructed and added to housing stock to the lowest number that would achieve our goals of meeting compliance. So that's really the context. Is there was a lot of cost avoidance that I feel went into this as well, because I think that supporting 500 units would have a much larger cost for the township than supporting the number that we are bringing in. The schools are a separate governmental unit. We do not have supervision over their budget. If they have, if they have done some enrollment projections and assumptions, that is a body that would probably be better able to speak to any potential financial impact from the additional residents that are coming in. When we look at our own service costs, very frequently it's to meet specific metrics. I'll give you an example. As we've looked at growing our police department a little bit, that is something that is responsive to population, but it's not responsive necessarily to the number of people. It's responsive to our time spent on calls for service and our ability to respond to calls for service. So it's a post-effect metric. And that was, we authorized, as we authorized increasing the size of our police department, we looked at, okay, how quickly can we respond to calls? What's our call volume? What's our metric? So things have to happen first because we can't always forecast the effects. So that's one of the challenges that we run into, is that we're trying to meet certain service levels and we have to see how the township changes, how our obligations look as a whole. It's very hard to say, okay, we're adding X many units and we have a service unit cost per housing unit of X dollars. It just doesn't always lay out that way as townships grow. And the schools basically face the same sort of thing. Schools, for example, will incur additional costs if they have to split a class and hire a teacher. But up to a certain point, they may not necessarily incur that cost. So while they may have an average per student cost, they may not necessarily incur the salary cost of another teacher until they hit a class size target. So to actually develop a model for this that is something that's accurate enough that we'd be able to stand behind it would be very, very difficult, which is why we don't have that data, unfortunately. But I do understand your concerns, but that was, as we went through this whole process of figuring out how to solve our affordable housing obligations, that was really our goal, was the lowest possible number of units that we could possibly do while being able to meet those obligations. So sorry that we don't have the exact number that you're looking for, but that's a little bit from our perspective as to how we looked at this in terms of costing.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. I don't disagree per se with some of what I've heard tonight, but we do have simple. If residents are asking what did the affordable housing cost, I mean, we had to purchase land about $7 million worth. We bonded for that, and we were hoping, or we were planning, that there was another development that was going to then have a pilot that would help us pay down that debt. And that project is not yet even broken ground. And I'm not even sure its current status. So, I mean, I can certainly, our administration, they came on board after these decisions were made. But yes, the township purchased land, and everything that was said is true. This was the best, least costly option for the township overall, because it kept the number of students to the lowest possible amount. But I think the big picture to remember is that the state of New Jersey mandated a process and they didn't care. There is an affordable housing crisis, and every municipality, whether there were costs for infrastructure or school children, the state mandated this process. And while I was elected and came in the middle of it, with the deputy mayor and with Councilman Roman, at the end of the day, it was a very difficult situation. And the township did decide on a route that kept the number of total units low. But land was bought, and it was, as the way these projects were, it was given to a developer. Certainly those costs, can be provided to taxpayers. They were transparently done so at the time. But I think where the financial model at the time versus where we are now, years later, we thought there was going to be another project also being developed with a pilot that would then offset some of our municipal costs. And that hasn't materialized. But as taxpayers, you're already paying for this project. It's already baked into your taxes. It's not anything like new. The school impact is later, and we've been, as we have conversations with the school board, we were imploring them to develop their own models on what may happen. And that really is they are their own governing body with their own finances. So, how this impacts them as it actually plays out in reality, we're all waiting to see. I think one thing that hasn't been mentioned is we've always had a great deal of cooperation between the municipal side and the Board of Ed. We do a lot of shared services for the Board of Ed. We also are able to use some of their spaces at no cost. So there's a lot of collaboration. I hope that, should any new housing in Verona, whether it's affordable or not, kind of generate, some sort of financial pinch or crisis with the Board of Ed, that there is an opportunity for us to collaborate to see what can be done. So, this is a situation that we're just in together, because we do need affordable housing, and the state of New Jersey mandated it in a certain way, and we are about to start, and on the agenda tonight, we have to start preparing for the next round of affordable housing. And by June 30th of next year, we will have to have finalized some pretty significant decisions. So the 5 of us are about to, with the planning board, undertake a very difficult process. So we appreciate residents being engaged. And I will follow up with the administration on some of my old notes, because again, some of the costs of this particular building is well known and public. So we should be able to provide that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think at this point, the applications, did they tell you, Mr. O'Sullivan, when they would actually start assigning units?
That they will be.
Really not until that point, and we see school registrations and leases signed, they'll actually know the student impact and how that will affect. I know this district has been working on their own contingency plans for that. It's, just from that perspective, it's a little easier to absorb students from the middle school and high school because of how they're structured. It's the elementary schools that are really going to be immediate concern, but at that point they'll have to do that and go forward. But we won't know honestly until they tell us what their class impact is or how they allocate the resources. It'll depend on how they move people throughout the school district. People are talking about it affecting FN Brown School disproportionately, and the district is not required to put all the students in that neighborhood school, so it may be a different situation on that. At this point, we haven't had any. We've been progressively increasing the police department out of necessity, as Councilman Roman has said before, but we've been doing that within the 2% tax cap regardless, and making some of those decisions on that area, reallocating things, doing shared services like our municipal court to free up some money for other items. And so we don't see necessarily, the services. We still have our water system. We don't think that this number of units is going to require any more water infrastructure at this time based on the study that we just did. The building, the land will be managed, so we won't be plowing snow, things like that. So on the municipal side, we're not looking at aside from the fact that we're already paying for the land, we're not necessarily looking at a huge service increase at this point for the 95 units. But when we start talking about hundreds more potentially in the next round, that could potentially change. I just do want to point out that as an elected official here, I have advocated with state legislators. I've attended meetings of the municipality. I've spoken to people like the leaders of the constitutional leaders of our state government and caucus leaders, and reminded them that this process has really significantly affected our communities. And I'll be honest, aside from our LD40 representatives who are supporting us and are in agreement, is there hasn't been a lot of listening done by our legislature, the majority of our legislature. It's actually, they just don't seem to understand the local impact and how this is being done in the process. And even the revised process is very complex. And it, in reviewing what they have, and we'll have more presentations on this, it is significant. And so it's unfortunately, we have very little control over the area. And while I was not on the council when these decisions were made, I do think that they were made in the best interest of the municipality, and that was the best option to do at that time. So, but as far as right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Diarco, but aside from the land purchase, we have not necessarily engaged any additional spending related to this. And the school budget is 55% of your taxes. The township budget is about 27%, like that. And so we're in the, basically a quarter of the tax levy. So anything you're going to see is probably going to come from the school board. And they're in the same situation that we are as far as being able to manage the situation. It is really unfortunate that the move-in for this is in the middle of the school year, because that does challenge things a little bit more. But at the same point, on the other hand, it may actually cause more creative and less expensive solutions during this year. So it could be an opportunity as well. And
brief.
Yes.
The only thing I would say that's fair in terms of discussing operating expenses, the township also have to retain an administrative agent for affordable housing. And then throughout the process of going through our settlement, we did incur fairly substantial legal and planning expenses, just simply litigating and negotiating the, what our affordable housing number was and going through the settlements with these. And that's every single municipality in the state, unfortunately, ends up having all of those costs put on them and all that process put on them if you want to actually go through and settle your number and come to a compliance plan. And the state recognizes that municipalities are going to incur costs related to affordable housing, but they tell us you simply are going to have, you have to absorb those costs. That's the issue with affordable housing is if you need more water infrastructure, you are just simply required to expand your water infrastructure. If you have to expand your municipal employee base to serve, that's an expectation they have of the municipalities. There's not state money that comes in for it. It's a burden of us existing within the state of New Jersey. And I agree with the mayor's comments. It would be nice if there were better legislative solutions to this, but in reality, they don't appear to be forthcoming. We have to work within the judicial framework that's here and comply. Otherwise, the situation gets far worse.
There is a nonpartisan group of municipalities that have engaged in legal action to challenge the basis of the law and how it's done. And we do have the option of joining that. So we'll review that information and see if that's something that we should proceed with doing as well. But that is actively being pursued at this point, and they are seeking additional support from other municipalities in order to do that. And there isn't really a municipality that is not affected by this, especially the suburbs. So I'm sorry we can't provide you necessarily more information from that. The only other tax impact that just came into my head is that we are not collecting the property and improvement taxes on the Cameco factory and the two homes that were demolished for the purpose of this facility. So we can't get you the numbers on what Cameco was paying and what the two homes on Pine Street were, Mr. Diarco, Mr. Sullivan, or Mr. Awaya, if you had that to your list.
Nor the land assessment or that absolutely.
Correct. And the prevent properties as well. But if we're looking at this, it's interesting, we have to separate this one development versus the whole plan, and it is something significant on that side. Right. We are going to move toward hearing ordinances. We have no hearings on ordinances this evening. The first and only ordinance on the agenda is labeled H1. For first reading, Madam Clerk, would you read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the sewer line near the Peckman River and by the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $60,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $57,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Somebody move the ordinance. Motion is made by Councilman Wellman. Is there a second? I'll second. Second made by the deputy mayor. At this time, is there any council discussion on this? Councilman McGrath?
Yes, so earlier today, I asked a question of our CFO, but I'm still confused with these changes. So is this bond out of the water and sewer utility? Or is this a bond out of the general fund?
This will be,
So,
Do we need to say that in the title?
I spoke to bond. No, I spoke to bond council this afternoon.
Okay,
And we agreed on this.
okay, so this is gonna come out of water and sewer.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Just for the public edification. There, as Mr. Sullivan pointed out in his report, there have been some issues with items from the sewer ending up on the property of individuals. There is a sewer line that, for which we have an easement that runs through under the backyards of multiple people along Derwent Avenue. And there have been multiple cleanup attempts. We've been putting a lot of DPW labor into this as well. And at this point, any of those mechanisms really stopgap maneuvers. And it's come to the point that authorizing this bond is really our only option as far as identifying those issues. But as Mr. O'Sullivan pointed out previously, if we find root incursion, taking the roots out means there are holes in the pipe. So we're going to have to do something to fix the pipe. There are some solutions where you don't have to dig up the pipe. And we're going to hope for those first. If we are digging up the pipe, this is a significant, very, very, very expensive project to do this. So, but it is a good first step. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes,
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor H1 passes 5-0, will be numbered 2024-34. We will publish according to law, and public hearing will be held on October 21st.
Okay. All right. At this time, we are moving on to the consent agenda. Would somebody please move J1 and K1 through K15?
so moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second is made by Councilman Wellman. This time I'll call for public comment on the consent agenda item only. The same public comment statement applies, that we are limited to the consent agenda. Okay, hearing none, I close public comment. I did have two questions for the administration, and I apologize for not getting to you earlier, but I've not been home today. So been one of those things. For the contract for the community energy plan, I'm looking at the DMR memo. I didn't really appreciate any statement of qualification for this. So just wondering what DMR's background in doing these plans is, and who would be doing this, and why they were chosen or being recommended as the vendor for this project.
so DMR, they were the first professionals meet community energy plan adopted in and through a number of other community energy plans adopted in the state, but they were the first. Actually neighboring nearby now.
Okay, great, thank you. And on K8, which is the DMR contract for the fourth round affordable housing element and fair share plan. In looking at the memorandum, and I believe you've had some conversations about this, I think the memorandum was more boilerplate than specific to Verona. So Mr. O'Sullivan and I sit on the master plan committee for the planning board, and I know that committee and the planning board would like to take a more active role as there is a significant portion in the master plan about affordable housing. So I want to make sure that we're not in an environment where DMR is coming to us and we're sending it to the planning board. So my understanding is that DMR will have multiple meetings with the planning board as requested, and before we get anything, the planning board will have contact and review and for as many meetings as they need on.
That is correct. The necessary process for that. They are aware of that, they understand that.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions, Councilwoman McGrath?
Thank you. Yes, just on that, I mean, back to when I read the memo, like, this is, so we have a very specific timeline we have to hit. So I appreciate, and I think it would be transparent to, have a process with multiple meetings, but, obviously we all know we have to hit a certain timeline. But when I read this, with this project scope, and I saw, well, only one meeting with the town council, I mean, I'm like, that would be great, but this is complex. And so I understand they need to have a scope, but we also have to be realistic that we're gonna need, this is the first time any municipality has gone through this process. So we're gonna need some flexibility. And it just, as long as the scope works out. Yes.
Right, again, that's. The actual requirements of this fourth round. So again, understanding that there will with both mayor and council and aware that will be the process.
Okay. Well, my only other comment on consent agenda is just the Grove Avenue emergency condition. And normally I may have missed a step. I don't know if we were notified. See, maybe we were, and it was the end of the summer. But also, I just, on that one, that on timeliness, I would have hoped we would have gotten this maybe on an earlier agenda. But normally the administration is really good about telling us about emergencies. So, but this one, I saw the work on Grove Avenue, but I was a little, I didn't realize that it was an emergency. Yes. Also, I just hope that we are circling back to our asset management plan for the water system. Like, was this pipe identified? Was this a surprise? Like, because again, we haven't even started on that asset management plan on some of the pipe work. So, just to make sure we're being, we keep our eye focused and being proactive.
Understood. Get into the
Okay, thank you.
Any other items on the consent? Would that be right?
So 2 questions. For K8, the affordable housing fair share plan, will DMR the low bidder on this? Just go out, do we put an RFP out for this or?
TMR is the team that I brought in here with Illinois to CODIS, affordable housing liaison when I got here in 2022 to move us through the continuance of their funds for that. Shifting would be, I think, problematic, very honestly. Firm is excellent. They do produce, and they are timely.
So this didn't go out for RFP.
We did last year. They were all held. We didn't appoint anyone on. So everybody was on a holdover. Where clerk is putting out your RFPs again, but this is literally round 4 is time sensitive. If I don't start now, you're going to be way behind the April. And that's the reason I'm moving through. And their performance for us has been excellent. We'll coordinate with the planning board. That'll go very well.
Okay. And like back to, this is,
very
we knew this was coming, and it's not anyone here, but it's the state. And that's why, all of a sudden now they're pushing these deadlines on us and kind of doing what they did to us in 2017. My other question was, the road project on Grove Avenue. I mean, I know we put a significant water main break, but on other water main breaks, do we have to bring engineers in and? Because I know usually they're just overseen by Public Works, and obviously our Public Works Department is more than qualified with our water main repairs. Why was this one any different than?
So the, significant break and significant.
Those the severity of it that we needed to bring Boswell.
For this.
The color.
I mean, we took you and a review of services between our own staffs, the engineers, and balance those out. So it's not 100% just engineer. It's a combination of our staffs sharing the engineer, essential to bring them.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, resolutions K1 through K15 will be numbered 178 through and including 192.
Thank you. Great. We are going to move on to new and unfinished business. While we have an addendum, I'm just going to fold the addendum into new business because it is a new business item. We have 2 appointments for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We have Ms. Shannon Curtin for a term, unexpired term ending 6/30/25, and Mr. Michael Duda for an unexpired term ending 6/30/2027. Bit of conversation with town clerk because in the past we've given the longer term to whoever applied first, but in this case, one of the applicants requested the shorter term to test the waters. So which is certainly a virtuous decision. I will hear a motion to approve the appointments labeled NA and then 1 and M1A1. Motion made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
Yes.
Second is made by Councilman Holland. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman.
Yeah.
Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Appointments are unanimously approved.
Thank you. I appreciate you notifying them of the same.
Yes.
We're moving on to a discussion on ordinance amending chapter 150, the zoning code, article 25, the stormwater management controls and requirements of the township. Mr. Loya, is this you?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, who would like to take ownership of this one? And why we're doing that?
This is actually just updates, so this, I'll give the clerk credit, actually. I think, right? Clerk, I believe. So I didn't want to take credit what you haven't, looking at like he did it. So the clerk did this is actually, they changed, the state has updated, the stormwater management, so the clerk was nice enough to make changes, so we now meet those requirements.
I believe I.
Yes.
The red line is there, and anybody have any issues that would prevent this being on first reading?
Do the administration want, unless there's.
It can be introduced.
Would somebody like to move this? Well, first, is there any objection to moving this to being introduced? Okay, hearing none, would somebody like to move the ordinance labeled N2?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
The second is made by Councilman McGrath. Any council discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holly,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McElroy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor N2 will be numbered 2024-35, be sent to DEP as well as the planning board for brief consistency with the master plan.
All right, and onto the fee ordinance discussion. Did not see this document in our binder.
There's no change in any fees, but because what used to be 150.25.14 now becomes 150.25.13. So there's no change in the monetary value, just in the fee structure, in the fee of schedule fees itself.
That is excellent. Okay. Does anybody have any objection to that? Will have to be on first reading because I don't have a ordinance in front of me to amend the code, so we'll have to have that on first reading next.
It's not gonna matter until we pass the ordinance anyway.
Correct. Yeah. That is absolutely right. So we have to wait a couple meetings for that. All right. Any other new and unfinished business? Okay. At this time, I'll public comment on anything anybody would like to talk about yet again. Same public comment statement applies. Hearing none, I will close public comment.
Yeah.
I do not believe we're having executive session.
That's correct. No executive session.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to be made?
Motion closed.
Thank you. Councilman McGrath makes the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, there is no debate. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed may stay for as long as they wish. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.